I never really wanted a dog. I watched other people's dogs all day, for Pete's sake. Not only was I busy watching other dogs, I had schoolwork, finals, and service learning. Ugh. Who had time for a dog? My boyfriend was concerned that I was becoming isolated so far from home. So one afternoon he left me a voicemail, just saying to call him back, and that I had to come home from college that weekend. Home I went, and we took a fateful trip to our local humane society. Little did I know that Pirate would be a very challenging first dog behaviorally. Being stranded at the shelter, he came out fearful, possessive of resources, and stubborn as a donkey. He also had idiopathic epilepsy, which would begin a series of events in his health that would be both challenging and expensive. His veterinarians, my co-workers, and even strangers that we have met have always tried to tell me that I saved Pirate, when I think we saved each other. Pirate's first night home from the shelter was an eventful one. I did not know what a Houdini he was, and after his first bath, he pulled out of his collar and ran down the street. This event would be the catalyst for me to begin researching dog training in Jack Russell Terriers, since that is the closest breed he resembles. Pirate has a strong mix of terrier and non-terrier traits. He is a brilliant dog. He learns easily and has long been able to outsmart me. He also has an issue that we've dubbed selective hearing. He only obeys when properly motivated, and if there isn't something better to be gained by disobeying. Unlike most terriers, Pirate has quite an issue with fear. He's afraid of a multitude of things, the most hilarious being the trash cans that our neighbors would dare to leave at the curb. He'll walk by and give them as wide of a berth as he can manage, giving these things the evil eye, and slinking his body to the ground. His other fears were less humorous and proof of the abuses of his former life. As little as a pen would hit the ground, and he'd skitter away. Something as normal as throwing a stuffed toy for him would be cause to leave the room. His worst habit, though, was his little sharing problem. Pirate would defend any place that he deemed his, to the point of growling and snarling. This is an issue generally known as resource guarding, a dangerous behavior pattern seen in some dogs. I persevered with my training research. Correcting Pirate was not helpful at all. He'd flatten his ears against his head and look into my eyes, and I could see the panic and fear in his own. The more I Googled, the more I learned about positive reward-based training. First and foremost in the positive training realm is the use of a tool called a clicker, a palm-sized child toy that makes a metallic click when the button is pressed. As fate would have it, Pirate was afraid of the click. Of course. For dogs like him, it's recommended to wrap the clicker in a sock to muffle the sound until they become used to the reward that comes afterward. Mine was wrapped up in many layers of kitchen towels for weeks. My first goal was to teach him the command off, so we wouldn't have to physically remove him from where he was resting. I also instituted a policy that would come to rule Pirate's life, called Nothing in Life is Free. This means that in order for Pirate to gain anything, he has to perform first. Before we could go for a walk, he has to sit politely and wait for me to put his leash on. This solved our issue of running out the front door. Before I would put his food bowl down, he has to sit and wait for me to release him, with the command, "Okay." A few months into the wild world of dog ownership, I received a panicked phone call from my roommate. Pirate had collapsed outside and was having a seizure, he explained. I ditched class and went straight home to find a little dog that seemed no worse for wear, other than looking a little woozy. I, of course, rushed him to my vet and had her run full blood and urine tests, which revealed nothing. She told me to monitor him for the rest of the day and call if he had any more seizures. As spring semester ended and we went into summer vacation, Pirate's seizures became more frequent, increasing to once or twice a week. My veterinarian recommended a low dose of the anticonvulsant phenobarbital. The medicine did reduce his seizures, but after a few weeks of waiting for their lethargy, a common side effect we thought he was experiencing, to subside, I brought him back to the vet's office to be examined. She diagnosed him with an ordinary urinary tract infection, but we sent out blood work just to be safe. 24 hours later, she called with the results, and I could hear just enough worry in her voice to make me panic. His body was on the edge of septic shock, with an infection running rampant through his bloodstream, and curiously low red and white blood cell levels. He needed IV antibiotics and fluids while they tried to figure out why his body was attacking itself. My vet nursed him through the weekend and the first Monday of fall semester. She recommended that I take him to a special internist at a bigger facility that had round-the-clock care. After 5 days in an intensive care unit and enough money for a down payment on a new car, the internist decided that Pirate's problem was a rare immune system reaction to the medicine we were using to control his seizures. We switched his medicine, but he was far from fine. The next 4 months were a flurry of antibiotics, immune-suppressing steroids, and weekly blood tests to monitor the progress. In the beginning, I was giving him 5 pills a day. When a conversation turns to Pirate and how special he is, people look at me with a variety of emotion. Some people, usually animal lovers, understand are in awe of how sick he was compared to how healthy he appears now. Others think that spending so much money on just a dog was silly, foolish, or downright crazy. What they don't realize is that Pirate saved me from myself. When we adopted Pirate, I was a shell of a person. I went through the motions of living life, but I wasn't enjoying myself. There wasn't any true happiness in my life. Pirate's behavior and medical issues gave me a sense of purpose in my life. I had a job to do. He's also a distraction from the ordinary world. Going to work was fun because Pirate could go with me. Study breaks were, and still are, often interrupted by a desperate need for a walk. I met other dog lovers, many of which I am still friends with today. A coworker and I only became friendly when we noticed how well our dogs got along, and we wanted to let them spend time together outside of work. The 4 of us became best friends, walking together, hanging out on the living room floor, since the dogs were on the couch, and hitting the drive-thru at the Italian ice cream shop because the dogs wanted to get a pup cup. Pirate and I have been together for almost 3 years now. We celebrate the anniversary of his adoption, his Got Ya Day, every year on September 23rd, with a grilled hamburger patty and ice cream. We've been through it all together in such a short amount of time. We learned about positive training methods together. I nursed him back to health when he was sick. My most precious object represents a special canine, what we in the dog world call a heart dog, a dog who you've bonded so wholly and completely with that there aren't enough words in the English language to describe your love.